Hello and welcome to Rising Connect. And today we're back with my great friends Abdullah and with Taz.
Welcome back.
We've had a busy time.
We had.
Really busy one.
Wow, has it been busy? And it's like, I'm so excited, I'm so pumped. Where do we start? Where do we begin? We've got so much to tell.
I have to say thank you again, Steve, for welcoming back us into your podcast, and we're always happy to talk about the stories and engaging conversations that we must have had over the last 2 weeks.
We're getting so much feedback from the podcast. Everybody's kind of really enjoying what we're saying. I haven't watched them back. I know that I take all pleasure in kind of talking with you guys. Mm-hmm. But everybody's saying how wonderful the podcast is.
Only one thing I don't like about it. Since now we have a scheduled meeting, I don't see you anymore, guys.
No,
you know that last time we met was in the podcast. Like we stopped doing
That's
our
right,
lunches, dinners.
we bumped into each
but
other.
we stopped doing our morning meetings.
But I think that we've got to do a morning meeting, maybe.
Yes.
Now that let's
I
do.
mean, we all agree that the last 3 weeks has been pretty hectic for everyone in our
has been
space.
hectic. But I don't. And this is a funny thing. So when we started talking and we were saying, "What happened to you over these last few weeks?" and "What are you up into?" and then I'm getting inspired because you're all of a sudden saying, "I met this one guy," and you know the amazing thing is, it went off into this when I met this other guy, and those two guys were close, and then the connections were happening, and it was just meaning so many different things for my business.
Absolutely. You must have the same stories,
Yep.
Abdullah, yes.
So first of all, remember the London trip?
Yes.
We made it.
That's exciting. Congrats. Big Mabruk.
Thank you very much.
What happened in London.
May inshallah we do something similar to it for GCC companies. We are looking for let's hope GCC company that will do the same listing for them like what we did with 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and London Stock Exchange. So we found 50 companies in Nigeria, and we have them now on the London Stock Exchange. That helps them with fundraising in the future, and also like IPOing in the future as well. So we are keeping an eye. So
Incredible, yes. So basically, what exactly was that? And these companies were coming into.
No, so the idea is you cluster them. So they are not ready to be IPO. They are smaller companies. They are SMEs, let's say,
Right.
rather than startups. And you cannot post them in the London Stock Exchange, but we bundle them together as an index fund, and we post over there. When you do that, it gives credibility to the economy, credibility to the companies, and it helps, like in the future, if they want to do actual listing like an IPO, I tell them that they have a track record in the past.
Fantastic.
And so you can invest in those companies today.
Very good
How
to
does
hear.
that make you feel? Because that must be really empowering for those companies in Africa.
Yesterday I posted something. I wrote in it feel of joy, happiness, achievement, proud of. Big shout to my friends 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and our 𝐵T as he's called, and the whole team with him. With us, Priya or Ben or everybody on the table. It wasn't one. I was just really lucky to be part of that. I'm blessed and lucky to be part of that team that did it.
But how that steps into the next one where you're saying we're looking for 50 companies in the Middle East?
Not easy, because the process is long process, and it's not easy, let's say. But at the same, the thing is, we did it for Nigeria. We are doing it again for 2 more indexes from Nigeria, 𝐡200 and 𝐡1000, inshallah, before the end of this year. Doing the same thing for the GCC shouldn't be even. It is a process. There's no shortcuts. The good thing about it is it's doable. We've done it for Africa, so we can do it for GCC. We can do it for hopefully Central Asia and other countries. So whomever's ready, we are ready for them.
Yeah. And all they've got to do is really get in touch with you. And I know with you, LinkedIn is probably one of the best ones to get in contact with you. Very active, replies to every comment that comes. And I think that's what you've got to do with LinkedIn. But you need to reach out, okay? If you want to be part of this, it's incredibly empowering, and you never know where it's going to be taking you in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, talking about LinkedIn, Steve, you remember the first day of the Web Summit? I walked into the coffee shop and you were sitting with that gentleman who connected with me on LinkedIn, basically, from our last podcast. And then you were having breakfast. We ended up having a nice chat. And the first picture that we took together at the Web Summit. Yes. Amazing how this...
But it all starts fitting into place. As soon as you start pushing yourself and pushing those boundaries and leaning into that fear sometimes.
Using the right channels.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't WhatsApp someone you don't know. Don't email someone you don't know. I still get this, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it comes down to the same topic that we discussed last time, isn't it? Because not transactional discussions, is more relationship oriented. You meet the people, you make your effort to go and see them, and you build up the relationship, and they will connect you to someone else, which is exactly what probably would have happened to those African companies with your presence there, Abdullah.
Alhamdulillah.
You know, then,
But in saying that about Web Summit, and we touched briefly on the Web Summit, it was phenomenal. That's the first thing. But it only turning up is only 20%. 20% of if you go to Web Summit, your growth should be so much more. But just turning up was 20%. All the rest of it was making sure that you kept those business cards, you reacted to those business cards, you kept those connections going, you made sure that you put your it wasn't so much pitch slapping, as somebody said to me.
and it's a venue where you end up meeting even the key people right in front of you, where you will have trouble to get to their offices. This is what people in other companies, budding entrepreneurs and people should do, is to walk around there. I had an instance where, I can't mention the person's name, but he's heading up the Computing Research Institute and big stuff happening. But we were just having a chat with one of my contacts, and then suddenly at the backside he was talking, and then when I talk to someone, it's a task, the person is right in front of you. And that interaction there for about 2 minutes, with the right contact, giving you an opportunity to go back so you wouldn't be a stranger, as you mentioned, when you send an email or when you start that conversation.
You see, you know,
that's what the benefit I found
with one of the companies we are doing this training for environment, and we wanted to meet some people from oil and gas. I literally grabbed my founder and I told him, look, this person is a personal contact of mine. He's here. I called the guy, I told him, do you have 2 minutes? So the guy called me back, my founder called me back, and he was like, I got his business card. I told him, good, now you have a business card.
Yes.
So as you said, you pump and everybody is there. That's a good thing about
everyone,
it.
Everyone, at least for at least few minutes, few hours, everyone.
I was lucky that all my founders ended up meeting the right, let's say, VCs, the right people within the VCs. Some of the VC people or the investor in general were really fried, but at the same time, they gave their time. They gave their 2 or 3 minutes on personal level. For the good thing is that most of the people who left Qatar today already have a personal contact. You have a face in your brain.
That's the most
you remember.
You have a face to remember. You connect back, and it was also quite interesting for me from my perspective, because you do a lot with startups. I do more with bigger companies trying to come in. Maybe they want to connect with Microsoft, Cisco, etc., where you meet those key people at the time. And next time, I would advise even people to turn up a little earlier than normally they start, because some of the time they're very relaxed. You get the best shot in the morning, good conversation, and you walk away with that context. So you have to
by
be very
5 p.m.
smart
everybody is just a fight.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I think if you're a smart way of doing it, because I had to do 2 events, Web Summit and LNG.
Yeah.
So we have to split the timing, see what strategy you have to put into the best time to be there.
How did you do it,
best
man?
Time. As I told you, it's 8 in the morning. Walked in, everyone was slowly coming in. I spent like 8 till 11. That was my cutoff time. 11 I had to leave, but that 3 hours was core. That's when people are coming in, the big guys are just there making strategies for the day, and you get a quick chance to spend time with them, and then you walk out. I mean, because of my necessity to be there on both sides, but if you're only for Web Summit, you spend the whole day there.
Yeah, I spent the whole day over there. But
sure. I think
it was a busy day. Was walking around. I was there in the opening, so first of all, kudos to the people behind it.
I was about to say, Abdullah, being from Qatar, you must be very proud, because even the LNG opening session was phenomenal. It was one of the best ever, because they were showcasing Qatar from where it started and how we are now with the biggest, LNG powerhouse, and it was all displayed on a Western style.
I look forward to go back also to do more R&D when it comes to, that Qatar used to own most of the LNG transport IPs in the past.
Really?
So yeah, we own, like, imagine, because it was a necessity. So how did Qatar become the largest supplier of oil, LNG in the world? Because we invested a lot in that.
Yeah.
Between 2004 and 2000, I think up to 2004, 2015, something like that. So we had the supply chain management IPs in general. So we need to go and do more IP and
this is actually quite interesting discussion, because this year's key focus, the main agenda was talking about how critical is LNG for the global energy spread. But then we're looking, the next phase is going to be more smarter, cleaner, more responsible way of producing that LNG, which is a critical link for all kind of. So that enable companies to bring in latest technology, predictive maintenance and strategies on AI. So now it's opened up because people, it's not buzzwords anymore now, especially in the energy sector.
It's a need. It's a need.
And then it's like, as you mentioned, the IPs that we hold, and like institutes like QRDI and QCR, they're all connected and working together. And there's a good opportunities for companies to make a JV for a local company and a foreign company to establish that and bring those technologies into Qatar.
Like, with my founder, for the digital economy, for example, we still don't have any contract with oil and gas field over here in Doha, but we have it overseas in Oman and other countries.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to close one of those deals at least here, because I understand the challenge that we have as a security, because we are depending on oil and gas. It's a matter of national security in Qatar and everything. Yet at the same time, we can look into non-mainstream solution or let's say non-core tasks that we can put for digital twinning, at least digital twinning for environmental management.
Yes,
like what will happen if you do something.
Yes, and I think this is the way it's heading now, because all the technical conferences that I attended was more focusing on what can bring in to optimize to predictive maintenance, digital twinning to understand which direction they should go.
The crazy decision-making, algorithms. By the way, yesterday a company raised $100 million just to create, a global, let's say, management system for the decision-making in Silicon Valley.
That's the key thing, because what happens is, I had instances a couple of weeks ago. I was with one of those bigger companies with the energy sector, key people, and we were talking. They have an incredible solution, very impressive dashboards. They can take analytics data, but the key question came out was, would that allow them to make a critical decision making? What's the algorithm behind it?
So now
if we
that's
can
the
have
thing.
Good companies, startups, maybe mid-sized
it's not
SMEs.
anymore. It's becoming viral. So last year, as I told you, one of my founders, one of my friends, started that startup to do that, mainly for logistics region. Yesterday, he called me panicking that a company raised $2 million, and that company raised 100.
Wow!
So it tells you that now this is a critical, let's say, venue that we should look at.
Absolutely, and the $2 billion investment that's been announced at the Web Summit
for the funds of funds,
for the funds of funds, that's going to give more push to those companies. They've already experienced connecting with Qatar. Now I think it's going to be more.
But that's towards the VCs, not direct investment for the time being, because Kai is taking the care of the direct investment as far as I know.
Right. Okay. So you have that entity and multiple entities working on it. Yes. But overall, it was a phenomenal.
I think you just mentioned two things: is the bridges, and I look at you two and I listen to you, and I'm just awed by it all because of the way that you are bringing that business into Qatar, and then you're helping Qatar to knowledge share, to help to do the JVs with people. It's just so impressive, and it is so impressive because I've never been busier. I know that Ramadan's coming around the corner, but I think it's going to be a busy Ramadan, right?
And we must wish you a happy Valentine's Day, since it's the 14th of February.
Today
much love and a blessing to the whole world.
Blessings to everyone.
Yeah.
And don't be forgetting these things, because you could be in trouble, right? We may come here to the podcast, but we've got to remember the ladies in our life.
Yeah, but we had a beautiful night yesterday at the candlelight
festival.
No, basically MIA Park, the museum.
Yes.
They had an amazing session, Coldplay tribute on a candlelight piano. Wow. Phenomenal. It was nice. There's a few more things happening around. Qatar has always got this interesting events going around. People have to just explore and go and take the chance. And
Art Basel was last week.
Art Basel last week.
That was impressive.
Big guys,
so many
big
people
celebrities
talking about that one.
I asked for a collection. They told me it's 1.6 million pounds if I want to buy it. I'm still considering.
Why not?
Well, as I told the person who told me, I told him the art is still alive, so that's too expensive.
That's too expensive. Yes.
Wow! But it was a.
So you can imagine Art Basel was going on, LNG was going on, Web Summit. You got Agritech.
Agritech is this week, yeah. But at that time we had the Kazakh festival. We had there was 5 events, let's say 5 major events happening at the same time once.
Same time. It was rather hectic, I have to say, but I think we made the most of it.
Yeah, I think we made the most of it. And again, I'm going to go back to that situation where you were saying how with LNG, how they've been investing all over those years to get as good as this is the best in the world, right? Yeah. They're doing that with all the other industries too. And you look at health, medical, you look at sports, you look at fintech, you look at all those areas, and they're just getting better and better at these industries, right? And that's the one thing I like about this. I remember going back, and it was the best way when we were in COVID, but they were doing the bubbles in the sports, when they were keeping all the teams in one bubble, and it was just kind of moving well. And then everybody wanted to come here because they wanted to carry on. Yeah, and it was because they just got good at what they were good at, that they tried it, they executed it, and it went well. And that's what that's the typical thing I see about Qatar, is that they're going to continually start at one level but reach to the top.
And Winter Olympics, which is what's happening right now. I think Qatar's playing a key role there. I mean, it's in the news, everyone's seen it. So that kind of is a testimony of how things have gone well.
Sheikh Johan is stepping himself up into the Olympic Committee.
Yes.
He got
a lot of excitement for the next 10 years when we hopefully host the 2036 Olympics, right?
I mean,
2036, yes.
Yeah, 36, yeah.
So we will start somewhere. We'll look up and we'll start right in that one that we're talking about, which was the Web Summit. Phenomenal. They get better and better. I remember the first one, and this is not a negative. This was just to say we just had to get used to it.
No. Well, first one, we did not expect that turnover.
Exactly.
And it was a post-COVID, so everybody thought that it will be, it's first time in Qatar, nobody would, but...
The second one.
I remember, the first one.
The queues, right?
And not just the queues, man, the cars. I remember I got stuck around TV roundabout signals at that time. Which
get to DCC?
Yeah, I not get to DCC. I just turned right, found the most to play, and
But this time was quite smooth.
No, this time, it was surprising.
Yes. I didn't have any trouble getting
slick,
there.
Very slick.
We had to wait for getting the passes and getting in.
You see the whole experience, okay? From the time that you think you want to go until you go navigate yourself inside and out, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was
amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And the way that they've turned that park into the networking event, and the different food stalls and the Majlis feel. God,
it was amazing,
my word,
it
was just amazing. Go and sit and relax there. Go and have a wonderful conversation.
And we'll be looking forward to the next one now.
Yeah.
Because tickets have been announced.
Tickets are sold out. The birth tickets are sold out,
really?
I believe. Yeah, I checked. I was checking it just out of curiosity, But I'm upset with the Summit guys. They gave me a partner ticket rather than an investor ticket, so...
Yeah.
Need to speak to someone.
I liked it because I thought to myself this year, and I was getting a little bit wary or a little bit fearful, that I said, right, I'm not gonna buy a ticket. I'm not gonna buy a ticket. I'm gonna be doing something at the Web Summit, and I'm gonna get a free ticket. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And then it was getting closer and closer and closer and closer, and the phone rang. There we go. All done, sorted. So
lucky man, as always.
It was a phenomenal time. It was just really special. But it was really good in the sense that you needed to hustle.
Yeah.
There is no other way. And with everybody that was there, it was so busy, so just a complete buzz, and it was trying to find the silence in that noise, right?
For me, I had my partners from Italy were here, my partners from Turkey were here, Turkey from here, my partners are from all over the world, Kazakhstan, some friends from Saudi Arabia. Yeah, another event was taking place was the Saudi businessman meeting in Qatar actually during Group Summit time.
No, didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, it was a private event between the Saudi businessmen to look into opportunities over here in Qatar. Tells you that things are happening.
No, of course. I mean, we had loads of private events with the embassies. We had Switzerland had unique events specifically for the companies from Switzerland to engage with customers. I'm assuming that last year we had different business councils and private events in the evening. So it was actually 9 till 1 a.m. my timing for that whole week.
I pumped into our friends from Sweden. Sasan and the guys,
Oh, yes.
And they said, we need to talk. I told them, I know, but I'm not sure.
Yes, I know. I mean, they had a good time, I think. They had a good time, yeah. They had some private events.
That's good.
I was also invited for the breakfast meetup on that day, but unfortunately I couldn't make it because of the LNG opening session. But all in all, they were all quite impressed.
How was it, by the way, the opening session?
It was incredible. I haven't seen anything like that. I mean, I could see the emotions coming out from the locals, especially you had the top leaders in the world from LNG. The names, Shell, Exxon, Total.
That's not just the names, man. It's who came to present them.
Yes.
That was I was surprised by.
Absolutely. And then the show was incredible. I mean, how they opened it. And the exhibition was phenomenal. I've never seen, people coming from the other parts within the GCC, they've turned up for this LNG to 2026. The whole atmosphere and the whole logistics to get there come out, and the feel factor, it's like going into Place Vendôme Mall. You compare that and going into another mall, which is another 15 years old mall, where you have the narrow pathways.
Yeah.
So when you have that wider areas, it's nice for people to just walk nicely, freely, connect, stop over for a nice chat. You're not bothering anyone because you have a nice space. And I was telling Steve that we had the best lamb chops at the exhibition.
Of course.
Some of these companies, I had instances where we meet someone at the back, we have a nice chat, take a picture, and then we continue with another conversation. And the second day you meet that person again. And within that 1 week, you build that bond. Good. Where you get invited to their office to sit and
but
discuss.
Taz, you have that magic with anybody. You build bonds with everybody.
I mean, this is interesting because, one person last week told me, how do you hypnotize these people? I said, I don't hypnotize. It's just the talk. It's just the way we connect. Then look into the eyes and have a nice conversation. It's all about relationship building. And that was one of the things about the LNG as well. They're talking about more cooperation now is required, more JVs, technology. You said that Qatar invested heavily into technology. That's why Qatar is the leader when it comes to LNG. There are other countries who have the resource, but not being able to take it out like the way Qatar has done it. It's all about investing, finding the right big partners, and partnership is at any level.
Invest early, man. The challenge is how to convince people to invest early before there's nothing.
Yes.
Investing in the future, it's literally taking a big leap of faith and then jump, hoping that you will hit, like a gold mine rather than
absolutely. I have one story to tell you guys, because we have a company from Europe coming in on Tuesday next week with the JV document.
Congrats.
For a Qatari company. The beautiful thing is they haven't met until now.
That's good.
They have never met. So we're coming here with all the documents agreed, signed off for a project with the international entities, with the government entities at the embassy. But the beauty is they haven't met. So it's about the trust that you can build up.
Can I say something? A blessing of Corona.
Yes.
Please, this is one of the blessing of Corona time. Like we start doing things online, and then people trusting each other, and you can have online verification for many things.
Yes.
And then people can meet face to face for the first time, and they will have this ice already broken long time ago.
Exactly, yes. And it's the relationship that you build again over the last few weeks, which ends up into a good conversation.
But you said a contract to be signed. We did, before Corona, we did not have that. Like 6-7 years ago, we had it's the same means.
This is some of the positive effects of the pandemic.
Exactly.
People using technology more to connect, and validating throughout the process and making sure that they end up doing something together.
And I'm sorry for going backwards, but I'm going to go back to the pitch. You're saying, how do you get people to believe in something that isn't there quite yet? It's getting them to encourage them to invest now. And I suppose that's like whatever stage we're at. We're talking about Startups Web Summit, and everybody was there and they were pitching and they were doing. I think the pitch is so important, right? It's that getting to somebody to believe in what you do. And I want to bring that up because over that last week, we've got to get better at that pitch. And I know that you've got to have all the other stuff behind, but you've got to articulate, because I've got to get your attention. You say it, you were the investor. I knew, I didn't even see you once at the event. I don't think I did.
Steve was just complaining to me. I didn't see Abdullah. I said, I bumped into you, and I'm saying that you probably have a busy 5 days.
I had a hell 5 days, I would say.
So this is the thing that I'm saying. So you've got all these people, and their time is very sparse, and you've got to get that one chance. And if you get that one chance, you need to flow.
You see, we have something we call elevator pitch.
True.
You need to memorize it. You need to breathe it, eat it, drink it, sleep it. If you don't eat, drink, sleep your business, then you are not committed.
You're right. You're so right. I want to tell you about the story that I had. So I was at Vodafone stand, and I went there. Yes. I went there the first day, and I thought to myself, and they gave me my little slot, and I had my presentation that I could do with people and keep on flicking that backwards and forwards and explain to them the incubation and what Innovation Cafe has done and how the people within it and what great work they've done. And then I saw everybody, in a very short space of time, I saw everybody just standing in their cube, their cubicle. And I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And what I did was I just went out and I said, anybody that went past me, and we were right as you went through the door, but we were on the left-hand side. So you would have walked past us, not even noticed. And by the time of that, you would have done everything else. It would have been a struggle to get you back. But what I did was I went out to everybody and I was going, so tell me what you want to get out of this web summit. And I was just saying that simple question to everybody. Simple question. They couldn't not kind of say, no, I haven't got time. I haven't got, this is what I'm looking for. I'm not sure yet, but and then we just opened up this conversation.
How many answers you have?
So many answers. And what it was, the biggest factor was I never took it into account until the people at Vodafone, the people that organised it, looked up and said, you're creating this energy that people are just coming to see us.
Yeah.
And I must have, one of the ones that I really enjoyed was iPay. I think they're doing remarkable things with online payments or things that they can do with that iPay WPS and helping different businesses. But what it was for me was the guy, and I didn't know him, the guy that was on the other stand, he tagged me in a post. And he looked up and he said, I cannot believe how much I've learned from this guy, Steve 𝐓𝐿. He just opened it. It was such a simple question that he asked everybody. And his engagement and his deals and his things that he was organising just through that one question. And that's why I'm saying this, is because sometimes you've got to ask the right question so that you can get them to keep the door open.
Exactly.
I think it's one of those who haven't purchased the tickets yet for the next session, 2027, honestly is one of the best investments you can do.
Yeah.
You put that investment in, and like I said earlier, make best opportunity to be there to meet and mingle with all these people. You don't get access to these people on a daily basis.
You bumped into them.
You bumped into them, and then imagine getting access to the executive director of a large company.
And be
It takes
ready,
time.
man. We need someone to be ready. Like,
Yes.
give me 30-second pitch. Give me that. That's what I ask anybody. What can you tell me about your business? If you can't explain it, then you don't understand it, or you are not committed to it. It's always challenging to do the investment sessions with the founders, because there's some of them. How can I put that in a way? You know, when you know a topic, like you know it inside out. Okay, but your brain has too much information that you don't know what can come out of your mouth.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the same thing with some of those founders. That's why I'm telling them, like, stand up in front of a mirror, convince yourself that what you said is right. Listen to what you say, do the videos, do it again and again and again until you master it. I've seen people excelling just because sometimes you have just this 30-second. Walk with me, tell me about your startup. And you might get a business card, you might get a contact, use it. And if you have received any contacts from anybody, if you have received any messages, if you have received anything, please, within the 2 weeks of Web Summit, email this person, remind them. If they haven't replied to you within 10 days, then remind them again, so that at least you keep the momentum running.
Absolutely.
That's a brilliant comment, because I've fallen into this mistake so many times, is where you think that they're not interested. You've preempted that you're saying to yourself, no, they're not interested. They haven't replied. No. Come on, keep on poking us.
Sometimes people forget, sometimes people overlook, sometimes messages are to junk mail, sometimes people now using AI tools to look into their messages. So,
and imagine how many people everyone would have met on that day. And again, it's coming back to a book that someone showcased me. It's a book called Never Eat Alone. It's an interesting book, you should try it. And there was one article within that, the whole book. It's about when you meet someone. This is about relationship and trust, guys. How I make, we all do it, but this is when you meet someone and have that conversation. You end up, if it's a beautiful moment, if they're happy, take a nice picture with them.
Yes.
And then send it across back to them on your WhatsApp the next day or two. Definitely, that's a good way to start that relationship. Or talk about something exciting, and then make sure when you go back that night before you hit the bed, you have certain things in your mind to respond to those people.
Yes.
That's the first task you should do before you sleep. In my opinion,
it's such a unique selling point.
It's such a unique selling point, because you do that, and then that creates that value for that person. You've taken that effort to do that, and then you keep that relationship going.
It's emotional relationship.
Yeah, it is.
You've got to build that from the very first second that they've got to like you. You've got to stand out in their mind some way. Yeah. And those little things, those soft little things that you can do, makes all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
People won't forget what you have told them, but they will never forget how did you make them feel.
Yes.
That's one of the things that's
it's about the experience.
Yes.
Even if you go to a nice coffee shop, you pay a lot of money for your coffee, but if you get the best experience walking in, they treat you well, they recognize you, and then they make you comfortable. You don't mind doing that, right? It's the same thing.
A big shout to our friend in Symphonies.
It's amazing, I have to say.
God, yeah.
Wherever you are, I know you are probably in Austria, with your little girl, but I have to say, all the support
You know,
these guys
he's
do.
so kind. Every time we get there, he insists on, you know, we need to get him as an official sponsor of the podcast. You know,
We had another networking event like last
Good.
last week, and there was about 150 people, and Symphonies were the sponsors for the lovely cookies.
Yes.
And everyone loved it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like amazing, you know. That's the one spot that I like. We met there, haven't we? Yes.
our
It's,
first podcast was over there. You know, I'm hoping that we'll do it again over there.
Yes.
He's one of my inspirations. Although we kind of go there on a regular basis, I think I go there must be 3 or 4 times a week, literally, where we just have absolute joy. There was, and I'm going to fit this into where what we did in the web summit. We were doing the speed networking
Yes.
Right.
with 100 people, and there was a lady that was literally physically shaking and emotionally charged. She was tears. She said, "I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't." From the UK, I can't do it. And she was a lovely person, a wonderful person, but she felt she couldn't do this, and we talked her through and got her involved in it. And afterwards, and she was so pleased. I'm like her mentor now. We're having conversations about different things, but we took them to. So it was about 11:30 at night. And we went to Waruna's just to have the pies.
Right.
To have the pies. And
The best
it was
pies in town.
phenomenal. The next day, they took a group of 15 people there. They were having lunch and, but Waruna, I don't think there's any product that he hasn't got this that's just fantastic.
Yeah,
Everything's good.
I love croissants a lot, and he makes it not too salty, not too sweet. It's just spot on.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Comes from a man who lived in Paris for 2 years, so I know croissants well, I would say.
Yes. I remember that day when you were having conversation with the chef.
Yeah,
You know, Abdullah was complimenting how it's been made,
yeah,
the flakiness, and you know.
everything.
It's one of those things, and I'm going to you've got to try his creme brulee. You've
Yes.
got to try. He's changed his menu a little bit now, and the creme brulee, and also the caramel cremes. I'm telling you, they are trademark tested.
I hope that he will start on the branches, you know, somewhere close to Rayyan, close to where I'm living. So
He's in that process, and this is where the knock-on effect comes, because I went in there last week and I met one of his partner,
Yes.
one of those, and the guy I told you about, the venture
Yes,
bank.
yes, venture
and he's
banking.
looking at him saying, "Hey, if you're going into any countries, if you've got these different things, and even if the banks in that country want to lend money, we're in.
okay.
Just get us into contact." The conversations, and it's all through having a relationship with the guy that
Because
owns
he's
the coffee.
nice. He's nice
Yes.
to everybody. He's so kind to it. Now, then let's start with a small business advice for anybody who wants to start a business like that in Doha.
Yeah.
If you are focusing on one branch, you are killing your business. You need to have multiple branches because of the way that people, let's say, customer behavior, as they call it. In general, if you want to start a cafe, you should have 2 to 3 branches at least before you start looking into your balance sheet and making money. And that's because of the, let's say, seasonal behavior of the clients.
Truly, yes.
So one of my favorite places, you know, is the port, Doha Port. Yeah,
phenomenal place, yes.
but the 6 months of a year, it's mostly empty. Like you go because you like this one place that you go to. Some of those places have other branches, so what they do is that they start moving their even personnel from one branch to another. So if you want to have such businesses, you need to have multiple branches.
Yeah, I'm using Varun as a good example. He's really thought about that process, and the one thing that, again, with going into what you're saying is market research. Yes. Making sure that you've kind of looked at every aspect, making sure that you sit in that. If it was a restaurant or if it's a cafe, make sure for the first few months you're sitting just looking at that place, dreaming about that place, but also putting all the figures. How many footfall is going past on a regular basis? How many types of what have I got to look into? The demographics. Who's going to be my customer?
Because guys, if you did not drag me to Symphonies, I wouldn't have to this side of city center.
I had you. And then I had another local Qatari friend of mine who'd never gone to city centre over the last 10 years.
No,
or so.
especially this side of city centre. Like for me, usually it's the other side. It's the restaurants, the saloons is on the other side. Yeah,
yes, it's incredible how.
I know everybody goes to the city centre, right? But I wouldn't be going to a city centre for a coffee. That's for sure.
And for me, as I said, you know, this side. Like I go to the other side where you have
the cinemas and the restaurants and everything on the other side. Yes.
We've got Gold Souk, we've got the other ones, but it's not that. you've got to tell people where it is. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, come into the store, take a left,
And go all the way up.
go all the way up. But the biggest thing with this is just making sure you do your homework first. I've talked to Runa so many times, and he did just that. And he shows me, he tells me the story. See those chairs there? I sat there for 3 months looking at this place, having it through my mind, and I think that's really important.
No, but we need him to get another, like, let's say, a small, maybe we'll discuss with the what do you call it, with the management office center, to get him another small, not satellite office, not satellite like booth, but just a sales station.
Yeah, so they don't miss out on the crowd coming in through the main entrance, which they could divert. Again, we were talking about this concept, and you talked about market research, how valuable it is for any industry. And I think this is where the early stakeholder engagement comes in, because people are looking at big projects coming out, big tenders coming out, but the more you can connect with those customers or the clients earlier through mechanisms of relationship, you end up having a nice conversation. You get to know what's in the future, what are the thought process, and you can work on it. I had several instances where we take customers for a specific conversation, and this is something that we can help. I mean, as a team, it's basically when you walk in there, we see the big companies and the business development and the sales management team making the pitch. But within this environment, within the GCC, I mean, Abdullah, you have to agree that, you can pitch your technology and the product, but then you need to build that connection. Marketing, you need to build that relationship with the people, understand, let them talk. And I'll tell to people as well, when you go into a meeting, don't pitch your company for the 20 minutes. We only have sometimes 30 minutes time or a 45 minutes time. So pitch a quick intro for the first 5 minutes, and then let the host, let them talk. Because through that conversation, you might have to map it and see where's that gap and what topic should I put in front. Because you might be talking, I had instances last week where I'd taken a big company there, and the audience wanted as a different approach for a specific sector.
Yes.
What would happen is, because some customers and some companies would have that feeling, they have a core business which they're very strong in. So they make that pitch on the core business, which is about 50% interest from the audience side. So it's all about understanding what the audience or your client would want to have, and then tailor making that conversation. You have to make that decision while you sit there. You cannot go back and prepare any slides. So this is all about practice. This is some coaching that sometimes we can offer.
Sometimes we have a great product but the wrong name for it.
It could be wrong name. It could be the wrong way you convey it. And
want to hear something funny? I was sitting with my mom yesterday, and a friend of mine he has a great idea for an AI tool, and he want to call it 𝐓𝐡𝐞.
I'm sorry.
So 𝐓𝐡𝐞 is one of the ornaments for black magic.
Right, okay. So you want to call it a 𝐓𝐡𝐞.
Yeah. So I thought, well, if you do that at GCC, you will be nobody's going to use your service, because it's culturally not accepted. The gentleman was really, and I was talking to my mother about it. As you know, my mom is in hospital, so please remember her in your prayers. I was telling her, the guy is doing that. She said, no, and showed her the it's a scary ornament, you put only in flag magic and all. If it was in the West and US, it would be fun, like it would be a joke, right? It would
something. Be part of the culture, part of, isn't it? It'd be the same thing for my company. My company name is Power Consultancy.
Yes.
So I've established in the UK, I've established in India, and I was trying to set up here, and there was a little bit of issue with the name because of whatever reason. Then I met with one of my friend, our good friend, who me and Abdullah are very close to. I'll disclose the name later. I don't want to put it right in front. And then he advised me, Taz, let's look at the Arabic translation of your name. And we found that name. He said, this would give us a good feeling when we hear it. That was the one point that I decided to take that name.
That's lovely.
So 𝐴𝐿-𝐾𝐿, basically, the meaning, what it stands for. And if it makes the people in the region happy, we can
That's
make
empowering,
it
actually.
And it's empowering, and it's also like the connection, right? Steve?
Yep.
As you said, the name, the people, and how you put in front, all three matters.
It does.
If that syncs well, and the right place, in you are in business.
One of the other things is just making sure that you're saying about the name is just making sure that it's self-explanatory, right? It makes it a lot more easier because people want to know what you do at an instant, right? So they want
They
to
don't
know
want to look fool or something. Yeah.
that they just want to know. They want to get to the, and a lot of times they want to just get to the point. But one of the things that I like, there's a couple of things that I want to do. Is one thing that you started talking about LNG and what stays in people's minds, okay? And one of the biggest things that you said, more than anything else with that LNG, was the lamb chops. That was
Honestly,
that was the one thing that stood out in your mind.
I don't know. It was a strategic move, possibly from whoever had done that.
We need
the second day.
We need those sort of names,
and
man.
that voice has gone out. The third day was extremely packed because everyone knew. that
Lamb chops.
You just come in right at the lunchtime and you get to do that. And
You know how much I love meat, and you haven't called me that day, huh?
To be honest with you, I didn't get it.
Okay.
Because I was having the dessert, like the chef was making a meringue with all stuff.
That's lovely.
And my friend who came with me, Mr. Ravi from a big company in India, 𝐓𝐡𝐞 Group, and he's a pure vegetarian. So when I say pure vegetarian, of course, we respect all the cultures and religions, and pure vegetarian. So basically, I had to check with him, even if it has got an egg in it. So we were specifically asking with the chef, and then he made something special for him.
That's lovely.
This doesn't happen in any of the exhibitions. I think Qatar has done an amazing job with hosting all those bigger organizations to come here, but the way it's done. Then when I looked around, I was like, there was another queue there, people having fresh lamb chops. But I didn't get to try it, so you can't complain with me. The next time, definitely, let's go to Brisbane and see the next one in Australia.
Looking forward.
Because that's in 3 years' time.
I'm looking forward to that because Australia is coming
honestly,
big now.
I'm telling you, I think I was talking to a lot of people from Qatar Energy and Qatar Gas, the local companies, and they were mingling, and it was beautiful to see them, and I could reconnect with all of those contacts and talk to them freely because it was one of those days. 3 days you're there, and
you must bump to everybody, if you're there whole day. Yeah?
Everyone, I say, it's like everybody was there, and then we could take some good inputs from them. You keep seeing them. And it was nice, especially when we had the Qatar Energy station, which was right in the middle, and people were walking in. I think loads of companies would have had good interaction with people there. Good advice on how to get into the energy sector, what's the pre-requirements, how do you get qualified, what are the procedures. And at least, if you meet with the right people, at least you can get them the right advice and guidance, That's the one thing which I recommend to people as well. When you have something you want to talk to, sometimes don't put immediately in the first instance what exactly you want to achieve. That kind of gives that pushy feeling. Build up that relationship. Take advice. Ask it more like an advice. So people are, you always like to give advice to people, right? If we have a chance.
If someone asks me, especially those who will listen to it.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Because sometimes I ask people to pay for it. If they don't listen first time, I'd ask them to pay for it.
Yes. It always starts with the conversation, Steve.
I think the information, because again, our podcast is all about getting Bradley, but I think that just the lovely conversation that we're having over a coffee is just absolutely key. When we talk about the investor side of things, I want 30, you need to have a 1 minute pitch, an elevator
maximum
pitch. I want to get to the point because I want to see how I can best help you. But if you're going to get that opportunity to sit with somebody like yourself, you need to make sure that your idea is fantastic. You need to make sure that you've done your market research. You've done all the research.
And you've done so you need to research the person. Is that right? So when you get an investor, VC, PE, or whomever, anybody will give you money. They are not just giving you money. They are buying your time, and it's like a job, right? When you pay at the end of the month, it's not just a pay. It's not just a salary. It's like some time you spend, health you spend, and what do you call it? Emotions that you spend within
and
your
the value you create
exactly
for them.
Yeah. If you don't find it, you need to have you need to study your investors. Like find the investor that will invest in your business or has done that before with an institution or a person. Because if they have done that multiple times, that means they're bringing for you the investment and the connection. Let's say that you want to do something with quantum, okay? And you are going to someone who has done all their life real estate. How do you think they will help you grow?
True. Yeah. It's about the core experience and the understanding.
But it's such a competitive marketplace out there, and especially in Qatar, because you've got people coming from all over the world that are really experienced operators. They're coming into the country, and the smaller guys are going to have to work 3 times as hard. Yes. But it comes down to those unique selling points that you've got, and that's not always about the event. It could be about the lamb chops. Right,
Yeah.
it could be. And I'll give you an example. I went in to see an investor. I spoke with him at Web Summit. We had our picture taken. He said, okay, get me 6 slides ready. I want to see what you've got. I want to see the things that you're happening with. I went to him and I looked up and I said, I've got, and the 30 seconds, I've got a fantastic opportunity, but these are, and I literally, and I'm sorry to say, I told him my weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, tell me about it. Yeah. Let's go into it.
And talking about that lamb chops, I'm because you keep prompting on lamb chop, I'm thinking I had mocktail pitches at the Shell booth.
Yes.
You know, you are waiting on the queue and everyone's standing behind either a higher official from one of the largest companies, and they're walking around, they want to have, there's someone right behind you or right in front of you. So there's an opportunity there for you to crack that.
Yes.
Opportunity.
If you recognize the person, just say, hi, my name is X.
Yeah, and then this is a story that I mentioned to Steve. Yeah. We had a conversation, took a nice picture, walked off, and then I was planning to send an email the next day. A friend of mine turned up from the UK for the same event. He was there for 4 days, and he called me and said, Taz, can we meet up for a lunch before I fly out back to the UK? I said, look, I'm going to bring my wife and we can meet together. We sat down, and then he told me, well, I have a friend of mine who works with this organizer who really want to drop me at the airport. I said, look, if someone's offered to drop you at the airport, he really wants you to be with him for that half an hour time, have a chat. Please call him, and let's move the bags from my car to your friend's car so he can take you to the airport. The guy walked in, and it was the same gentleman that I met just at the booth we took the picture with, and he was like, how did we end up here? I said, look, this is something meant to happen. We met briefly, and you're meeting the second time, and now we are planning to meet as a family to go. I mean, you build up that emotional connection. Not everything is business, isn't it? Because sometimes you have a friend for life, you have an advisor for life, you have an expertise there who can guide you. This is incredible. That all started when we were standing, not for the lamb chop, Steve.
Yeah.
Just for the mocktail.
But what I'm trying to say is, I always use and let me go back to that investor, because the investor, I did my pitch. He said, give me some revenue streams. I gave him the revenue streams. I told him what he was going to do, and he says, I'm in. I didn't even go through anything. And why I'm saying this to you guys is, it's not all about the business side of it. Sometimes they've got to buy you more than they buy anything else. And those are the connections that you've got to make sure that you are better than anybody else. And you've got that ability because you're a speedboat. You could be a disruptor. Yeah. Those big companies are oil tanker. They're going to take days to stop. You can maneuver. And the thing that you've got on your side is that emotional relationship. One of the things I used to say to people, because I was in the industry, the catering industry for many years, and I used to say, I used to be a chef, and I used to think that they were coming to my restaurant because I was brilliant. Mm-hmm. The food was amazing. And you know what? The food was, and after 25 years of experience in this field, it's only 25 to 25%. If the meal's good, if the meal's bad, it's 99.9%. But if the meal's good, it's only 20%, I believe. Because it's the 80% is on how those things that you're talking about, those little things that stick in your mind, those relationships.
How did you feel about this founder? You know, last episode, last podcast, we said that when he asked us about what's the most important thing, if the idea can change or whatever, and we both agreed, it's people. This person is investing in you. Because even us coming to the podcast today, it's because we believe in you. We believe in what you have done in the past. We believe, and you are a good person. And we have those meetings sometimes for dinner, sometimes, and we decided to take it.
Yeah, but the power of us, and I've got to say the power of us, and I want to get it to another stage. I want these podcasts to be live.
Yes.
How about that? What do you think to that one?
I think that would be a good idea. I think we have
an audience.
Genuine conversations. I think it'll be nice to have some audience.
Yeah.
Some interactive sessions.
Yeah. Some questions. Some people standing up and interacting. Some people learning from something that we're saying.
Or even online. Like some people are doing it online.
Yeah, of course.
A live one would be great, Steve.
I think
at least a few guests that we can interact with, engage, bring some,
I think
people.
YouTube provide that platform these days, if I'm not mistaken.
We have to explore.
Yeah, we'll make sure it happens.
Sure.
But the great thing about this is, what we're trying to this week is turned in. We had so many different plans when we were going to be talking about all these different things in a little bit of in depth, but there is no in depth. Okay, what you've got to do is you've got to work your backside off. You have to have that desire. You've got to have that energy. You've got to have that belief that you've got something more than somebody else, and you've got to accentuate that at every opportunity. And then you've got to come to us, guys. And I was never going to say this today, but you've got to come and visit us, because we are the connectors of those dots. We are the ones that can make those introductions easier for you to speak to somebody else that you possibly wouldn't have had that connection with. We spend our lives on making sure that those lamb chops are going to be the last thing you talk about. That's who we are.
Do you know what? I need to find a place now for us to go and have a lamb chop.
But this
I have
is simple.
2 or 3 places in mind.
But this is simple.
We're going back to
Find
the
that
same.
little
It's absolutely,
lamb chop
absolutely.
for your business.
And
Yeah.
again, from your side, from the Web Summit, and from my side, from the LNG and the energy sector, guys, if you have anything unique, a good value-add solution for any of the value chain within LNG or energy sector, please reach out to us. We can put you in the right guidance, go through the scenarios, how we can connect, and this is all we are about. As I mentioned, early engagement is always better for any business. If you're planning for something for next year, start your discussions early, so we come into that conversation, come into the room. Sometimes you might be putting a spark inside the right person to go back, and they would come back. And I had an instance last week where we had a big company from the eastern part of the world, one of the largest companies. We were having a great meeting with top heads of one of the energy sectors. The best thing which came out of that meeting is something incredibly new that they really wanted to achieve, which these guys will be working in the background, bringing that technology to them. So that creates you go in to talk about something, and then you're coming out of that meeting with something which is given to you as a special case to go and develop.
Yep.
And if you have that instinct feeling of doing it, this is the best thing to do, and we can help with all that engagement, meetups, connections, etc. And this is what
We
are
can
about.
find the "Sell me that pen" moment from
Yes.
the movie.
Yes, indeed, and that's what we're here for. I think Steve's doing an incredible job.
I agree.
In organising, and thank you very much again for having us here, Steve.
Oh
It's
dear
been
me,
an
you guys
absolute
guys
pleasure
are
to
special.
be here.
Yeah,
and,
you guys are real special.
I'm so glad we did that breakfast, me and Abdullah. I have to
come
say,
on.
it was Saturday morning,
As always.
7 a.m. And I was at Westin last week for a Thai, dinner, and I was telling to the guests, who was with me, this is where we started this conversation. And
I would
Steve
love,
walked in
I would love one day to do it back in the Western.
Yeah, we should do it. Maybe
Of
we should
course.
try the Thai restaurant.
Maybe we do the live podcast there, because I
This
remember
is
going
interesting.
past the door. Going,
I want to tell you something
"What are
very
those
interesting
two?"
about a relationship and how you have to connect, because there's a very personal story to me. We were at this Thai restaurant
Yeah.
with me, my family, and a friend of mine who's from the UK, came for the LNG event. And I was walking out, and there was another table there. The restaurant was packed. There was another table, a gentleman was on the side, and we kind of looked at each other. And I had this simple habit, God has given you the best gift in life, a subtle smile. If someone connects you with the eye, you look at it. Of course, you have to remind yourself that you are you have to, respect the culture. But if you're given a chance, add a little smile with him. And then I walked out to the toilet, and we were there washing hands, and my son came around. And then when I was washing my hand, the gentleman was just behind me. So I said, is it your first time in Doha? And we just had a casual conversation. He happened to be the key guy holding the NVIDIA company's relationship in the whole of GCC.
That's good.
And we had that conversation in the washroom. While doing that, came out, he introduced me to his brother, his wife, the whole family, and they're inviting us into Dubai to meet in business discussion.
That's good.
And it was a funny discussion that you started off somewhere. So opportunity can happen anywhere.
Just be ready.
Just be ready and just be very open, and that also gives.
See, that's again, if you, as I keep reminding myself and reminding everybody around me, if you breathe, drink, eat, sleep your business,
Exactly.
you are always ready for it.
You're always ready. And
But
anytime.
but that's the thing. What we don't like, Taz, is that people who will do it all. Like someone will come to you, okay, we will try to find a tailor-made business for you. Tell you, okay, I have people that approach me with a great idea for IPs, and suddenly within 3 minutes they are telling me about a gold sale that they have in their minds. For me, that's a black flag. It's not even a red flag.
And you have to judge the people within the first 1 minute. I mean, it's like you walk into an airplane. This is one of my first bosses. I mean, he's been, emotionally very attached to me, a very close friend of mine now. He said, when you walk into a plane, you're going to be sitting in your economy class or your business class or whatever. Whoever sit right next to you, crack a quick conversation, and you have to judge within the first 1 minute, are they willing to continue that chat or they want their personal space? And if you were clever to make the judgment, you could have a friend for life, a business partner, or an ally for your whole life.
Yeah,
or
someone
you
you
could have a
bump.
peaceful time reading that book. So again, it's all about that connection, isn't it?
And I use it so many times because as being in the catering industry with restaurants, you needed to know when to go into a table and when to pull out. You needed to know when they wanted to talk to you and when they didn't want to talk to you. And that was the art, knowing where those, and I used to, if I heard of one of my staff and they were on the list, lookout for any possible story, right? And the story was, oh, it's their anniversary. Yes. Oh my word, let's go. And I know that we used to go up and get a bottle of a nice bubbly stuff in it, that one that we just wanted it to go pop, and with the cloth around it, and we'd take the glasses down in our hands going jingle, jingle, jingle. Restaurant was full, it was 80 people. You'd go up and say, let me tell you, this is a really special occasion and we're glad that you spent it here. This is on behalf of us.
So how do you make them feel?
And that's what you've got to do within business. Know when to go in, know when to come
exactly,
out.
yes.
Don't be trying to do too much. And what Abdullah said, listen, don't be trying to look for all those pots of gold and then just trying to change your skin for that pot of gold or your purpose or your service. Okay, your service is what you do. Those pots of gold are going to be there and they're going to be there on a constant basis. Just keep heading for one because then you're going to get the right person that's going to believe in what you do because you're become an expert in that area. So yeah, great messages.
Great conversation.
Shall we go to the questions? Or you don't have any questions?
I didn't have any question. You've caught me out here.
Well, we can wait for questions
but
coming on.
But we've been an
LinkedIn
hour
and other
long
messages,
already.
Yes.
So I was trying to bring that one to a close. But yeah, I didn't collect any questions this week. What we'll do is, again, there's two things I'd like to do today. Is one, everybody give a prayer for Abdullah's mum. That power of prayer from so many people is going to make all the difference. So please say your prayers. And also send in more questions to us. We're ready. We want to take those questions on. And you never know, you might be sitting with us one day.
Hopefully,
yes.
Hopefully that everybody who sees us would go beyond their see. A question that I got during Group Summit.
Perfect.
When do I raise? It's a question that we had before. A person told me something, and guys, you know me better than most people in the world. Do I tell too many people not to raise, or can you we're on camera, I know, but it's a personal thing. Do you find me telling people not to raise and they are too early to raise, or should I just move forward and ask people to raise and show them how to raise best? I need that answer from you guys if you have heard my pitches.
Honestly, I think we battle. I had a conversation in Web Summit with somebody where there's a certain generation that doesn't want to borrow people's money or take money off of people. And I think there's that education process that we all need to go to. I think that and you're the right person to sometimes put your arm around somebody and listen to what their problems are and to then kind of work out from there. But if you see something, the biggest thing is if you see that ability in them, I think that the only option that you've got is tell them how to get to that next level. If they're ready, and your experience is that we've got to listen. We've always got to listen to what those situations are. But you're in that situation where that's what and I'm sorry to say this, but that's what I love about you. I love about you is because you do take that time and you say 30 seconds, 60 seconds, but I know if you've got somebody that you believe in them, you'll give them everything.
Yeah.
And when they're ready, you'll know when they're ready. They'll know when they're ready. And then, like I said to you, that person says, I'm going to take care of all that stuff for you. You just keep on pushing forward at what you're good at. I know that that's just the person that you are. So I don't know if I've answered that question.
I think you did really well, yes. And those, want to add on is basically from what you said, is those companies who have registered to set up their business in Doha through the Web Summit. There was the offer from QFC and all that entities. For those companies, if you need any kind of support and guidance and how things can happen, please feel free to reach out to us and we can do the best we can.
What people don't know is that they did it, by the way. QFC allowed free registration this year as well for Web Summit.
Yes. It was for 3 years.
The 3 years again? No, I know this 1 year. I don't know. I know that they allowed it, but I don't know how long.
3, I think
3
it's
years.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
3
because
years.
it's 3 years of the Web Summit left, right? Or is it?
It was the third
So
Web
th-
Summit.
so this was the
first
third
year was
one.
5 years,
Second
probably,
one?
and then
Yeah.
third
Yeah.
one, yes. So there's
Yeah, so it's going to end at the.
Yes.
But yeah.
2029, last one, right? Or unless we extend it.
you never know.
One thing I do want to say is I met the manager of IBM.
Okay.
And they've got something that if you just inquire about, I'm going to put the link, I've got the link where you can apply for it, where they're looking for edutech AI
EdTech.
projects. EdTech. Yeah.
Ones, yes.
Specifically EdTech. And they're looking to incubate or get people involved.
Funny enough, you say that out loud because I met someone from the sales of IBM and he approached me to help him to move forward within the market itself, because it seems that IBM is the only say service provider that's not making great sales in Qatar compared to other partners. So healthy competition is always welcome in this country. That's what I love about my country. Though the country is small, but we are using a lot of services. So let's see what we can do for them. Yeah. So please share that with me as well, because I'm curious to know what their offerings.
And the one thing I'd say, big or small company, whatever you are, okay, just get close.
Yeah.
Get close with your clients. Get close with your investors. Get close with everybody that you come into work with. Okay, it's so important that you get close because then magic happens.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Anyway, thank you so much again for you two viewers.
Thank you for having us again. It's always been a pleasure.
Yeah. I need to promise on camera that you will have us. We'll go back to our private meetings as well.
Yes,
so
we should do.
Once a month at least.
I think we should do one iftar together.
Okay.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, for Ramadan, yes.
What about, and we could have just small numbers, but what about having the next podcast in Waruna's place, back into
we could do that.
And then we'll get a few people watching at the
That
same
would
time.
love you. We can book that long table.
Yeah, that would be
there,
good, right?
yes.
So that's where our next one's going to be, in Waruna's. And then we'll start a little group as well, networking.
Yeah, we should do that.
That would be a good one.
Definitely, let's do that. Rise and connect.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Until
everyone.
Next month. You never know. We could be pushing each other to do it maybe more often. But thank you so much, you guys, and thank you for listening. It was a real pleasure. And keep on trying, keep on pushing, and make those connections. Thank you so much indeed.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. See you next time.
The 𝐓𝐡50 index has been launched at the London Stock Exchange, aiming to bring public market discipline to Africa's largest private technology companies. The rules-based benchmark applies consistent criteria to late-stage firms that have historically sat outside traditional capital market frameworks. Organisers say the index is designed as a market infrastructure rather than a ranking or investment product, offering investors and policymakers a clearer reference point as African tech companies scale.
People are here to celebrate African innovation. What is happening today is we're launching the African Tech 50 Index, right? It's a rules-based index, composite index that benchmarks Africa's most privately scaled companies. So it is shining a light on Africa's very best, introducing the innovators to global deal makers.
I believe in Africa. There's something that's happening over there. There's something, it's the future of the whole world. The challenge that we have today is that, and the trust that we need to bring to African continent. I have visited the 54 countries of Africa, and I know that there's lots of things to be offered over there. And we are at the 100% mark. Whatever we can create in the future, we're losing it big time. Whatever we can create now, we're losing it big time in the future. So that's what's my hope, is to be over here to support it from not just the money prospect, not just the capital, but bringing the connection, the awareness, let's say the new prospect of Africa, the thing that I see, the continent that I fall in love with before I put my money in it.